In today's video, I'm going to tell you why I'm not investing in 2023. And while I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't invest, we're going to talk about some of the reasons both I'm not investing and why someone in a similar situation than me, or why the median individual in the United States might not want to invest in 2023. I'm by no means here to fearmonger. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to negatively affect you or give you a negative outlook on anything. We're just going to talk about some of the real analytics and inferences that we've seen in the market, that we've seen in history, that we've seen in growth, wealth generation, entrepreneurship, and we're going to talk about all those things in this video. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you're interested in entrepreneurship, businesses, personal finance, finance in general, we talk about all those things on the channel. I will challenge you with, if you watch all my videos, it's going to be harder not to be wealthier after that, because you will learn information inherently and grow your wealth. So if you don't believe me, prove me wrong, watch the videos, and I promise you won't be able to put a comment below and say I'm not better off than I was before if I didn't watch the videos. So that's just a challenge. Subscribe. Okay, so let me talk about what I'm doing first, and then we'll talk about just the general why and what you might want to do and consider. So the reality is I am not investing the same way as I was previously in 2023. Now, I am still investing. Technically, I'm putting away a certain amount of money per paycheck per month into my investment vehicles that are just tracking the S&P 500. I'm no longer buying individual stocks because I'm setting it and forgetting it in the biggest market exposure ETFs that I feel comfortable in and that will have the lowest amount of fluctuation. Now, I'm doing this just so that I'm not timing the market here. I just want to avoid getting into this position where I've missed the comeuppance whenever it comes. But the reality is that is no longer my focus. Where I'm taking what I used to aggressively invest, that extra money, I'm now letting it sit as cash. And the reason behind that is not to time the stock market, but to time other investment vehicles and try to get access to the next step up for me. Now, I think this is something that we can all appreciate before I get too far into that, is investing is a journey, right? And unfortunately, you have to have certain amounts of money to hit the next kind of snowball of what that journey means for everybody. Sometimes it's making your first 100K and then finally seeing every year the effects of compounding interest, because when you have so little money, compounding interest is great, but you can't actually see it because you don't have enough dollar bills yet fighting for you to make that money. The same thing goes with getting your first property or your fourth property and realizing it's easy. It's, going from one property to 4 properties takes a decade, and going from 4 properties to 50 properties takes 2 years, right? And it's all about leveraged dollar bills, and that can be applied to starting businesses or all the other things that's going to take you out of the rat race in the United States and put you into a position where you don't have to participate in this I'm going to sell my time for money structure. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out where I fall in that investment journey of getting to where and what financial freedom means for me, and I'd like to try to push myself into the next step of the investment vehicle. Now, what that really means is sitting on the sidelines with some cash and hoping for a distressed situation. Now, I am predicting, as well as most people and most financial advisors, this is not financial advice, I'm predicting that we are going into a recession. And for me, specifically on housing and business opportunity, I think the housing market's going to go down, and I think businesses are going to start to stagnate. So I'm getting myself set to either buy a business, buy into a business, more importantly, buy into some properties. Now, those are what I'm choosing to do as my investment vehicle. Everyone's is different, but depending on where you are in the journey, not aggressively investing might give you more ability to take a step up into the next thing and the next step of your journey. Now, I will say that if you are still in the position where you are, let's say, investing less than $500 a month in the stock market, I would continue to do that. Honestly, not financial advice, but if I was in that situation, let me put it this way, I would do that. If I was only investing $5,000, $6,000 a year in the stock market, $500 a month would go into the S&P 500 or an ETF that tracks that, probably VOO or VTI. Now, if you're over that, depending on how much you make and how much it represents of your income, I would then start to think about, what is my long-term journey and how do I get into the next step? We all know that the stock, when you're growing stocks, you grow kind of it is parabolic because you have compounding interest, but the reality is it's trackable. It's not going to take massive jumps. We know with real estate investing, if you do it right, you put your time in, you've done it all correctly, You, instead of going like this over time, you really like it goes up quickly, right? You have long, you know, it might be stagnant for a while, but then it goes really high, stagnant, really high, and then eventually you've got property that's completely paid off, and that's just growth, that's just income for you. The reason why not everybody can do that is you need a significant amount of money up front to get into that. So that's why I'm not investing right now, or not investing as aggressively as possible. So I know that I drew that out a little bit. So, you know, what is the takeaway for what you know, watching through your computer or phone screen right now? What can you do? Assess your journey. If you haven't got to the point where you're investing 500 bucks a month, get to that point. You know, regardless of what's happening with the market, you know, you need to be doing that for your own safety. Like everybody says, invest $100 a month, you'll be a millionaire. The reality is in 40 years, everyone's going to be millionaires. And if you're not a millionaire, you're going to be starving, right? That's just inflation, right? We somehow forget that. Even 10 years ago, making 100K, especially like, so I live in Boston, when I was in high school, right? You know, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was like, I want to make 100K. Like if I make 100K, I'll be comfortable, right? Everyone that I saw at that time that made 100K, they were living life. Right now, 100K, it's like like you're not in middle class in Boston, right? Like that is not middle class at 100K. And that is nuts, but that's just inflation, right? So the reality is when we're saying like invest $100 a month, you're gonna be a millionaire. Being a millionaire won't be enough to retire in 40 years. So if you're in a position, now is the time to really double down and invest as much as you possibly can. If you can't invest $500 a month, you know, I know, and this is gonna sound terrible, but like, I know everybody says like just go work more and make more money. The reality is $500 a month is not hard to make. Go out and pick up some hours, drive Uber, whatever you're gonna do if you don't have a car, you know, work in your neighborhood, do whatever you can to make the extra couple $100 a month to hit that $500 mark, get there. If you're beyond that, now you need to look at what is my overall investing strategy. You can go talk to a CPA, you can talk to a financial advisor, you can watch YouTube videos to figure out what you want to do, how you're going to grow your wealth, whether you want to be part of like the whole real estate thing, where you want to have your time invested, whether you want to set it and forget it in the stock market, whether you want to start a business, whatever you choose to do. Now's the time to think about that, because now is the time where you're going to have the most advantage. When everybody was like, I want to get into like real estate investing and the market was just like crazy going up, it still is pretty high. You know, those that bought in are now super exposed. They're going to be underwater. It doesn't mean necessarily that they lose the properties, but they will be underwater in their investments and they're going to have to catch back up. But everybody that was savvy, they probably were waiting, to be honest. And waiting is always a bad thing because you can't time the market. But, you know, they didn't have the same opportunity that some people had in like 2008. You know, when you look at actually a lot of creators that do finance stuff on YouTube, you'd be surprised a lot of them bought property in 2007, 8, 9 when there was that discount after the crash. This isn't like, there's a reason they're millionaires now. So a lot of us have been looking for that opportunity, and if you're in your 20s, this is the first time that we might have that opportunity. Crazy enough, COVID didn't bring that up. So right now might be, or this next couple of years might be that opportunity that people had in 2007, 8, 9. I don't know, it's just a guess, but I want to be best positioned for that, you know, when that time comes. So what I'm doing right now is, you know, all the money on top of that is sitting on the sidelines in a high yield investment account. Personally, it's in Wealthfront. I'm not affiliated. I'm getting 3.8% in my savings account, which is pretty good. So you know, I will leave a link to that. It's not an affiliate link, but I'll leave a link to that in the description below, just so you can do that if you want. But that's what I'm doing right now myself. No advice, but that's what I'm doing. And think about where you are in the journey, and you know, make some plans to make your make your step up in the game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll have more content in the future. Actually, video or 2, or you know, maybe even 3 a week at this point. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.